אדוני ברכו שמו, בזכו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזכו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזכו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שירו לאדוני, שירו לאדוני. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזכו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזכו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזכו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו, שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש. שלום עליכם מלכי השרים מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלכי השרים מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלכי השלום מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלכי השרים מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלכי השלום מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלכי השרים מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלכי השלום מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלכי השרים מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלכי השרים מלכי העליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat Shalom. Our Torah portion, Chaye Sarah, begins with the death of Sarah. And while we hear of Abraham's mourning and the preparations he makes to lay her to rest, we also read how he prepares for his son's future, sending his servant Eliezer to find Isaac a bride, and finds comfort in his final years too. We see that there are many seasons to our lives. As Rabbi Chaim Stern writes, a time to mourn and a time to accept, a time to rage against the fading of the light, and a time to kindle another light. As we prepare to welcome the light of Shabbat into our midst, we too are aware of the ups and downs of life. We mourn lives, yet celebrate the coming of age of Kol, our bar mitzvah. We recognize that there is evil in this world, yet we can take comfort from the kindness, love, and support we receive from others as well. Let this time we have together give you comfort, strengthen your sense of community and connection, and heighten your gratitude for the blessings that are part of your life. We begin on page 3 in our Sidurim as we welcome Cole along with his mother, Rebecca, his grandmothers Amy Strickland and Kathy Sechrist, and his sister Ava to kindle the Sabbath lights.
Yeah. Do I light a candle? No, you're just reading. Oh, okay. Let me read yours. Just the paragraph. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'zivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of the Shabbat.
We continue with the Kiddush on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagalafem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'achnava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta Natanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
We continue our Shabbat worship on page 13 as we welcome Shabbat with song, Yismechu Hashemayim.
Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Yitageh haaretz. Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu
Don't turn the page. The very next line, continuing Psalm 96,
Ya'aloz Sadai.
We turn now to page 20 as we welcome the Sabbath bride singing Lecha Dodi. We sing, as always, verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9. And when we reach verse 9, Oiva Shalom, we rise as a congregation, turning to face the entrance of our sanctuary, welcoming that Sabbath spirit to join us, that we beckon with our own Sabbath spirit. And for those of you who are joining us on live stream, we know that you are connected to us as well. Your worship space is sacred too. Sing with us.
Lecha Dodi, Nikra Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekalela. Lecha Dodi, Nikra Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekalela. Shamor v'zachor.
those around you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Let them know you're glad they're here. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26 as we remain standing through the Shema.
Amen. Be'amad yivrach ritei ve'amlich machotei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayerecho beit Yisrael Ba'kala u'v'zman kariv b'meru Amen. Yehesh me'raba mevorach le'olam u'lame'amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitoma v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei lekudesha b'richut leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushmechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'amad v'meru Amen.
As we turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, it's my pleasure to welcome up our Bar Mitzvah, Cole Evan Seacrest, to lead us in the next portion of our worship service.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. We continue on page 30. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chokhma Poteach She'arim V'tvuna Meshaneh Itim Machalif et Hazmanim V'msader et HaKochavim Mishnotechem V'hakir Kirtzono Borei Yom V'layla Galel Or Mipnei Choshech V'choshech Mipnei Or V'ma'avir Yom U'mevi Layla Mavdil Bein Yom U'bein Layla Adonai Tzevachot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. We continue in the middle of page 32. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue together on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyotecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher Anachi Mitzalecha Hayam Alvavecha Vishinantam Levanecha V'dibartam Pam B'shivtecha B'veitecha Uvlechtecha V'derech Uvshochbecha Uvkumecha Ukshartam Leot Al Yadecha V'hayu Totafot B'neinecha Uktavtam Al Mezizot Beitecha V'visharecha Lema Tizkeru V'asitem Et Kol Mitzvotai V'yitem Kedoshim Le'alechem Ani Adonai Elechem Asher Hozeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Lelohim Ani Adonai Elechem. Amen.
We continue responsively on the bottom of page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
On page 42, we read together. Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace, and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hafurei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44. את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. כי איש יומי עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם.
We continue with the Amidah on page 46 as we rise together.
Adonai Svatay Tiftach, Adonai Svatay Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Svatay Tiftach, Adonai Svatay Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, Eloyom, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imah Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'marid hagashem. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, u'motir asurim, u'mekayem emunato lishenei afar. Bichamocha ba'al gevurot, u'midol melech, melech memit u'mechayeh, u'matzmiach Yeshua. B'na'aman atah la'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. Page 54. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished and all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, and ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and gladden us in a share of your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Together on page 59 at the top. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. On page 61, we join together in our prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. As we think of all of those people who are in need of peace, of mind, of body, of spirit, in need of that healing to bring that peace, we take a moment before we say our prayer to think of them and whisper their names out loud. Mishaberach can be found on page 253.
Help us find the a moment now for your own silent meditations.
There is absolutely no doubt that Jews make up a tiny percentage of the world population. According to the Pew Research Center's Religion and Public Life Project, there are approximately 14 million Jews around the world, representing 0.2% of the global population. The majority of those Jews live here in the United States, mostly in New York, where I grew up. So even though Texas makes the top 10 list for states with the largest Jewish population, moving from a place where approximately 1.8 million Jews live to a state with 100,000 was a major shift. Arriving in San Antonio with 3 young children, we could feel the difference immediately in both good and bad ways. Schools not closed for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, or Passover, as it is in New York. It's rare to get more than one paltry Hanukkah song performed at any winter concert. Finding kosher food, if you so choose, is very limited. You cannot just pop into the supermarket for a yahrzeit candle or Shabbos candles, and the likelihood that your child will be one of more than a handful of Jewish kids in a grade or in a school is slim. But there are amazing aspects to being part of a small but not tiny Jewish community too. I see how proud people are to be Jewish, how members of different congregations to connect to each other and look out for each other. I'm always moved by the deep historic roots of our congregations and Jewish life in general here in San Antonio. And I'm also heartened by the support we receive from other faith leaders, civic leaders, and non-Jewish friends when anti-Semitism rears its ugly head in the world, and especially here in San Antonio. As I'm sure many of you know, since last week there have been multiple acts of anti-Semitism here in San Antonio and also in Austin. A group described by the ADL as a loose network of individuals connected by their virulent anti-Semitism came to Austin from Florida last weekend. They hung an anti-Semitic banner on an overpass near the Shalom Austin JCC on Saturday, and then walked around 6th Street wearing t-shirts and hats with big swastikas. The day before, graffiti that included swastikas, racial slurs, and anti-LGBTQ symbols was found at Anderson High School, which has a large Jewish population. They drove down to San Antonio to demonstrate in front of Cornerstone Church when they held their annual Night to Honor Israel on Sunday, distributed anti-Semitic flyers on lawns in the Churchill Estates and Deerfield neighborhoods, and on Tuesday, stationed themselves across the street from the JCC, where the Holocaust Memorial Museum was holding an event. All of this is deplorable and quite distressing. Yet the outcry of public leaders and the concern expressed by non-Jewish friends left many of us feeling not quite so alone. Mayor Ron Nirenberg tweeted, "Amid a rise of anti-Semitic incidents in our community, we must stand with our Jewish neighbors and reject the hatred and ignorance that endangers the spirit of our entire city. San Antonio will not tolerate these heinous acts, and we will never give a platform to white nationalists." Councilman Manny Pelaez texted me his public statement and promised to stand by our congregation always. I also heard from leaders in the Spurs organization and Everytown USA. It's not to say that this kind of support doesn't exist in other parts of the country. It's just to say that while we live in a city where we are a small minority, we know that there are many folks ready to stand up, protect our interests, and do the right thing. In this week's Torah portion, Chaye Sarah, Abraham encounters kindness from members of the majority population as well. Our portion opens with an announcement that at the age of 127, Sarah has died. After Abraham mourns and bewails her, he goes to speak to the Hittites and purchase a gravesite. He says, "Ger toshav anochi imachem, I am an alien resident among you. Sell me a gravesite among you that I may bury my dead here." The detailed account that follows, his insistence on a specific piece of land and paying full price, are all a part of Abraham's attempt to realize God's promise that this land will belong to him and to his descendants. Yet it is important to note how gracious the town leaders are in their willingness to accommodate Abraham's request. As Dr. Tamara Cohn Eskenazi observes, as Abraham declares at the outset, he is a resident alien and thus dependent upon the goodwill of the local landowners. He makes it clear that he wishes to acquire an entire burial site, including field, cave, and trees, and the Hittites respond with courtesy and respect. We are fortunate that we as members of the Jewish community here in San Antonio also experience courtesy and respect from the majority population the vast majority of the time. Nevertheless, we need to push back against anti-Semitism when we see it. We cannot be afraid to engage in dialogue, to continue to take seriously security measures to protect our Jewish institutions, and insist that all Texas communities have the resources they need to effectively observe Holocaust Remembrance Week as dictated by the 2019 Senate Bill 1828. That's not to say that the situation isn't complicated. On one hand, as I discussed with Jonathan Gerwitz, who is a member of Temple and part of the Texas Holocaust Genocide and Anti-Semitism Advisory Commission, we do not want to encourage extensive press coverage of these disgusting, hate-filled acts. When we post pictures of anti-Semitic signs and people, even to decry them, we give them the attention and the website traffic that they crave. On the other hand, as Noah Barshop wrote this week in the San Antonio Express, we must actively work as Jews and non-Jews together to protect the character of our inclusive and diverse community. We know that the lessons of the Holocaust extend beyond the Jewish people and evoke conversations of unequal treatment based on race, religion, ethnicity, sexuality, and gender. They help us focus on the dangers of systematic discrimination by government and the law, and of the perils of a populism fueled on hate and division. These conversations are important now more than ever before in most of our lifetimes. I'm proud to be part of this Jewish community, and I'm grateful for the many alliances we have with our non-Jewish neighbors. Most of my non-Jewish friends are respectful of our faith traditions and often are genuinely interested to understand them more. I hope you have those relationships in your life too. We can take comfort and gain strength from the knowledge that we are surrounded by allies. Throughout his life journey, Abraham was able to successfully maneuver the difficult situations that came his way while maintaining strong relationships within the communities where he lived. May we too be blessed as members of the San Antonio community, always ready to stand up against hate when it is directed at us, but also when it's directed at others. Facing discrimination, working with our allies to assure a diverse, accepting, and safe community for us all. Amen.
We continue with the concluding portion of our worship service. Aleinu can be found on page 283. Please rise. You may be seated. As we turn to page 293 for our memorial meditation, we remember that this is the 3rd anniversary of the shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, where we lost the lives of 11 innocent people. We read responsively. Remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength.
For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember.
Remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life.
For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be, we remember.
Our thoughts turn now to those in our community and extended communities who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Morris Adelman, Dan Anthony, Ima Jean Barnett, Robert Blaine, Shelton Block, Lily Bloom, Molly Braveman, Ruby Breeding, Solomon Brown, Louis Croft, William A. Dougherty III, Raquel Bendikoff-Dureski, Alice Dubinsky, June Ekanow, Samuel Alexander Feiner, Sarah Bergman Feller, Doyle Gilreath, Julian Gold, Betty Lee Greenberg, David Hirsch, Alan Teddy Hirschfield, Joe Horwitz, Rhonda Kinney, Ida Kotlikoff, Molly Ellen Landsman, Richard Landsman, Morris Lerner, Barbara Levine, Mark Levine, Ann Marks, Sarah Mendez, Samuel W. Planto, Shelley R. Prober, Sam Pullman, Susan Nanette Ralston, Arthur Rothman, Harry Reed, Hilda Ricklin, Max Rosenstein, Jeanette Sachs, Louis Charlock, Erwin Schifrin, Freda Verrett, June Valerie Walker, Colonel Ellis Wheelis, and Lillian Williger. We also think of those who died this past month, whose families are in a mourning period of shloshim. Remember Marilyn Glick Glosserman, Steve Sterling, Francis Frankie Wolf, and Rabbi Barton Lee. We also think of one who has died this past week, whose family is in a mourning period of Shiva. Remember Lloyd Diaz, son of Myra and Ross Frapart, brother of Sarah and James Botello, and Rachel Buslan, uncle of Drew and Aria. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we rise together as one community, page 294, for Kaddish Yatom. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'chayed chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu, La'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen.
As we get ready for our closing song, which is Oseh Shalom, which doesn't require a lot of preparation on our part, just want to say an extra mazel tov to the whole Seacrest family. Cole, you're going to be amazing tomorrow. You did a wonderful job this evening. And thank you to you, as well as your mom, Rebecca, and your grandmothers, Amy Strickland and Kathy Seacrest, and of course your sister, Ava, for helping to light the candles and welcome Shabbat. Oseh Shalom.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
1, 2, 3.